Well, I think the hot topics and the discussions around in Barcelona will be around roaming. That is one of the hot topics that will be discussed both openly and behind the scenes. Number two will, of course, be 4G and how operator can make money on top of the access. Number three would be mobile financial services. That was discussed last year, but will be even more discussed this year. Network overload connected to the 4G topic will be discussed. How we can transfer some customers from the 3G network to the 4G network as one way of decreasing the overload. And finally, I think, of course, on the Sunday there will be a lot of discussions around new devices, but also hopefully around new services that could drive the traffic. Yeah, I think the discussion around roaming will be very much on how can you make sure that you grasp the revenue potential that lies in mobile data roaming. And I think switch business model from the 25-year-old business model that was used for voice roaming and rather have a sort of per day or per week package that is easy to understand for the end user, and where you can say that you have the cost control from the end user perspective, and also the perception of actually being able to use all the services that you're used to use in your own country. Well, I think the shift in mobile payment has been pretty clear last year, so now we're seeing that some of the big elephants are starting to move. We have Google with their initiative, the big Visa, MasterCard are starting to move in this area. So all the sort of big players in the value chain, the banks are starting to look into this, the credit card companies, the retailers, as well as the mobile operators. And what we have also seen is that a lot of mobile operators are starting to join hands and form alliances locally in their countries in order to make it more easy for the retailers to sell the mobile services. But I think there will be also a discussion on technology. NFC has not really happened yet. We will see some new NFC handsets in Barcelona this year again. But there will be also discussions around alternative technologies that could solve the same issue for the end user. So there is a sort of fight or there is a demand from the end user that is solved with different technologies. So that will be discussed, and I think also the benefits that we can have on top of the payment, where loyalty and these sort of things is one area where the operators can fill a role and help retailers to have more loyal customers by using the mobile networks. Yes, I think what we have seen in many countries around the world with mobile broadband exploding is that we have a capacity crunch and a problem with the network. And I think the difference maybe from the last years is that it's not only pure data, but it's also the signaling. So now we have the full impact of all the apps in the smartphones that downloads the network with signaling all the time. People are playing World Feud, or they're constantly watching their Facebook, and these kind of apps sort of talks to the network all the time. So this will be a discussion how to manage this, but also, of course, how we can move some heavy users from the 4G networks or from the 3G networks over to the 4G networks, and in order to have more capacity in the existing 3G networks. I think the difference from last year when 4G was very new and only sort of launched in some Scandinavian countries, the difference now is that it's been launched in the States, and of course there has been a pretty aggressive uptake there. Also Russia has launched 4G and some other big countries. And I see a clear difference when I talk to my operator partners and clients when they're talking about 4G. So now it's not only on the CTO agenda, but also on the CMO and CEO agenda as a way to continue the growth into mobile broadband. And I think a lot of European and global players will start talking about 4G as the way forward. and also a way to create new services on top of mobile broadband, and to make more revenues based on that. And also how they can form alliances with content providers that could take the benefit of a really, really speedy network that with up to 80 megabit per second in the 4G network, competing with existing fixed network and even fiber in some cases. So I think this balance between how to use different networks and how 4G will play a role, not only as a speedy network, but also as a better quality of service experience for the end user. No, I don't think so, and I don't hope so. I think, of course, on Sunday there will be a lot of discussion about the new cool devices, the new tablets, 4G tablets, 4G-enabled devices in general, and how this could be perceived or used by the end user. But of course, in order to have a really use of a 4G handset or a 4G tablet, you need to have interesting services on top of that. And I think this will be discussed as well, where video, of course, could be the killer application for 4G. So I can have a really good consumer experience if I'm watching a film over my 4G connection on a tablet. Which was not the case a few years back. And if you can on top of that give a quality assurance by the operator that enables this service to be even better, I think this will be discussed. And then you have gaming, you have professional services like video conferencing and these sort of things that will also be discussed on top of the new cool 4G handsets.